Have we only seen the surface? Why in the last few moments, the look in Jungkook and Taehyung's eyes felt different, deeper, heavier, as if holding something that hadn't been said yet? The question suddenly resonated in ARMY circles when a brief statement, barely realized, surfaced and sparked an unstoppable wave of emotional speculation. There were no official announcements, no lengthy clarifications, but that's exactly where the curiosity began to peak. Guidance by guidance sprung from the little things that were previously considered normal. A slightly quivering tone of voice, a pause that was too long before answering, a smile that appeared and then disappeared quickly. Many are beginning to realize that there is an emotional truth that Jungkook and Taehyung have been keeping clean, as if they both agreed to hold it in for something bigger. But today, it seems like a limit has finally been crossed. What's surprising isn't the big words, but rather the simple honesty that feels raw and real. The phrase sounds like a confession that has long wanted to get out, about feelings that grow, change, and are tested by time and distance. For some of the ARMY, this moment was both sweet and painful. Sweet because there was finally clarity, painful because it realized how long the burden had been carried in silence. And oh wonder the reaction of fans was immediately divided between falling silent, crying, and trying to understand the meaning behind all this. Is this the beginning of a new chapter, or is it the end of something that has never really been spoken clearly? One thing is for sure, after this emotional truth is revealed, Jungkook and Taehyung no longer look the same in the public eye. And ARMY knows that no matter what happens next, this moment will always be remembered as the moment when honesty finally found its way. From then on, each of their little gestures seemed to take on a new meaning. Brief glances that once seemed commonplace are now read as gestures. Light laughter sounds like an attempt to mask nervousness, and silence speaks louder than words. Many soldiers realize that this emotional truth is not something that comes out of the blue, but the result of a long journey full of adjustments, sacrifices, and feelings that are constantly suppressed so as not to hurt anyone. What makes the atmosphere even more emotional is the impression that this disclosure is not done for sensation, but because the honesty is already too heavy to be kept alone. There was a faint tiredness, but also a barely perceptible relief behind their expressions. It was as if Jungkook and Taehyung had finally given themselves permission to admit what had been kept quiet, without having to explain it to the world. On social media, snippets of the moment were replayed countless times, analyzed second by second. A seemingly simple sentence now sounds like an indirect confession, and the pause between words is considered precisely the most frank part. Many wonder, if this alone feels so deep, how many other emotions have we never seen? But behind all the speculation, there is one feeling that is equally felt: empathy. For the first time, many ARMYs are no longer looking for definitive answers, but simply want to understand and support. Because the emotional truth revealed today is not about rumors or assumptions, but about two human beings who grew up together, knew each other for a long time, and finally dared to open a little the veil of what they felt. And maybe that's the real emotional shock. Not a dramatic confession, not a shocking statement, but the courage to be true to one's own feelings, even if only through subtle gestures. After this day, one thing became clear. Whatever their relationship and journey ahead may have been, this moment has left a deep imprint. For Jungkook, Taehyung, and ARMY, who watched it with pounding hearts, the silence after that moment was even more disturbing. No further explanation, no attempt to straighten out the wildly evolving interpretation. Jungkook and Taehyung seemed to let the public feel their own emotional vibrations, as if to say that not everything should be labeled or told clearly. And that's where a lot of ARMY feels touched, because that honesty comes without coercion, without a script, without a mask. Some begin to recall pieces of the past that now feel relevant. Old interactions that used to be considered jokes, moments of togetherness that seemed trivial, to a distance that had made the atmosphere feel awkward. All of them are now arranged like puzzle pieces that slowly find their shape. Not to ensure one absolute conclusion, but rather to understand that human relationships are indeed never as simple as they seem on the screen. Interestingly, Jungkook and Taehyung's reaction afterwards was calmer. There were no drastic changes. Only the aura felt more honest. as if the load that has been carried is quietly decreasing a little, although the consequence is an increasingly sharp spotlight. But there is emotional maturity, the courage to stand up in public without denying what you feel, even if you don't say it out loud. ARMY slowly realizes that not all emotional truths necessarily lead to definitive answers. Sometimes, the most powerful recognition comes in the form of a gesture, in the courage to no longer completely hide. And maybe that's what makes this moment so special. Not because of the sensation, but because of the honesty that feels human. Now that the clues have surfaced, one question remains. Is this the end of a well-kept secret, or the beginning of greater honesty in the future? Nobody knows. But one thing is undeniable. Ever since that emotional truth was revealed, the way we look at Jungkook and Taehyung will never really be the same again. And perhaps that is precisely where his strength lies. There are no exaggerated claims, no attempts to direct opinions. Only empty spaces are left open for everyone to feel in their own way. Many soldiers admitted that they were no longer looking for what exactly happened, but why this moment felt so close to their hearts. As if what is revealed is not only about Jungkook and Taehyung, but also about the feelings that we often keep tidy in each other's lives. Behind the screen of glitter and great expectations lies the fact that they grow from teenagers to adults under an unquenchable spotlight. Restrained emotions, words that did not have time to say, and the decision to be silent in order to maintain balance. All this now feels real. The emotional truth revealed today seems to be a reminder that not all wounds are visible, and not all honesty should be shouted.